Simply Financial with Christopher Calandra, Certified Financial Planner, is an innovative, comprehensive, informative, and cutting-edge podcast that discusses financial topics ranging from personal finance, economics, politics, and personal growth. Simply Financial will cover intriguing and thought-provoking questions so that the listener can simply increase their financial IQ.
Welcome to the Simply Financial podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Calandra. This is episode number 2, season 4. So my guest today is Moneeka Sawyer. I was on her podcast not too long ago, and we had a wonderful conversation talking about 7 wealth-building rules. And I enjoyed the conversation so much, I wanted to have her on the Simply Financial podcast. With our schedules, it's taken a little bit of time, but I'm so glad we actually are able to get it done today. Moneeka, thank you for joining me.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much for having me on. And yes, it's taken a little while, but I know good things are worth waiting for.
So you are a good guest, right? Because you are a best-selling author. The book is Choose Bliss: The Power and Practice of Joy and Contentment. You have your own podcast. Your site is coreblisslife.com. You help investors participate in the real estate investing marketplace. You've done this for, I think, 20 years. Is that right? Over 20 years?
About 25 years. And actually, Chris, my current site is blissfulinvestor.com. All
right. So I'm sorry I messed that up, blissfulinvestor.com. And I understand, too, while we're doing the introduction, and I obviously got your website wrong, first off, but I also understand you have another book coming out soon. What's the title of the book?
The book is called the same thing that my podcast is called, which is Real Estate Investing for Women. So the podcast is Real Estate Investing for Women. The book is Real Estate Investing for Women, Expert Conversations to Increase Wealth and Happiness the Blissful Way.
Sounds wonderful. Now, I'm a male, so
I noticed.
Will I be allowed to buy the book and read the book?
Absolutely. You know, the reason that I really focus on women is we have a little bit of a different approach to business. And so my approach is a very holistic approach. So I talk a lot about mindset, emotional mastery, money smarts, time management. So in addition to real estate strategies, I'm also looking at all of those other things that are going to be required to really create success. And so I find that when I target men, they tend to be like, oh, there's a lot of fluff, which is why I don't target them. But women really are interested in having a very blissful life, right? Now, what's interesting about you, Chris, is that at the beginning of our conversation, you were saying I want my business to do well, but I want a lot of time with my children and my family. And so you inherently have this desire to have a balanced, blissful life. And so, of course, I think the book would be amazing for you. But I think a lot of men that pick up a real estate book aren't looking necessarily for that. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And it probably would be wise for men to take a look at that, because some of the strengths that women bring to business, as you said, are different than men, and weaknesses are different. And sometimes we could focus too much on what we want to focus on, but looking at some of the other elements of real estate investing, some of the things you just spoke about, probably would be a very healthy exercise. So I'm definitely will be a buyer of your book. And I'll take a look at it. So I'm sure you're going to be selling lots and lots of copies, but I will definitely be a fan of yours continuing through this new book launch. I think that's awesome. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to bring it into the world and help more people discover how to be wealthy and just really enjoy the journey and enjoy the process. You know, life's too short for us to work so hard waiting for the end to enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. And that's, as a certified financial planner, working with clients on financial planning, investment planning, the attainment of financial goals like retirement, college funding for children, estate planning, mitigating taxes, things that we work with clients on day in and day out, Moneeka. It is so important what you say, and your focus is on real estate. As we talked about when I was on your show, I'm a real estate investor. I think real estate as part of a wealth building plan is very worthwhile, very valuable. Not for everyone, but it is a good way to accumulate wealth over time. So we have a lot of commonality there. I wanted to ask you, as we kind of kick off the discussion, you use in all of your material, including in the title of your first book, and it's in your web address, is bliss. So what's your definition of bliss or blissful?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. So bliss to me is a deep sense of joy and contentment and the confidence that you can handle anything that comes your way. It's really about emotional mastery and emotional resilience. So it's a significantly deeper feeling inside of you than like just happiness, right? It's that place that you can call emotional home, that no matter where you go, whether you go to complete despair or you go to complete euphoria, both of those two extremes are very distracting and not very functional in life, right? But you want to be functioning in this place that I call your bliss equilibrium, which is your home emotional state. Does that make sense?
It does. I like that a lot. And you mentioned resilience. Can we talk a little bit about that? And part of the reason is internally here at Elliott Wealth Management, just to give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, is we have a couple of different locations, so the team is not together every day. So once a month we do a team call, and we kind of review some of the goals the organization have. We review projects that are going on, important topics, that kind of thing. And so we just did one recently, and we're at the beginning of 2020. So a lot of it was some of the key goals for this year and a review of how 2019 turned out, which was fabulous, by the way. We enjoyed a tremendous amount of success. But one of the things that I talked about was resilience. And it seems to me now that I'm 49 with a little more experience than I had before, and having gotten knocked around a little bit over the years, personally as well as professionally, life happens, mistakes are made, hardships occur, is that resiliency is so very important because there are examples where something negative happens to someone and they have a hard time recovering from it. Somebody, though, that's resilient will probably deal with adversity much better. And it seems to me that resilient people are happier, more fulfilled, and typically are going to enjoy more success in their life. To use your term, they're probably going to be more blissful. So can you talk about resiliency?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest advantages of resiliency is it allows you to stay open to opportunities and possibilities, and you stay more creative. When we go through adversity, we automatically go into, it's almost like clamp down, right? Like our bodies, our minds clamp down on us. And that clamp down shuts us down from any opportunities that might present themselves as solutions. It also clamps down our minds so that we're not as creative in figuring out how we can get out of a situation or creative solutions to a challenge. So resiliency really is key, as you say, to bliss and to happiness, because if you're not resilient, you're going to stay in those unhappy places for longer. I talked originally about this bliss equilibrium. It's that resiliency that allows you to, when you hit despair, like you hit the ground, you bounce, right? Like a ball, like a rubber ball. A rubber ball, we might call, is resilient. It hits the ground and it bounces back up, right? And we want that same ability for us as human beings in our lives, because nobody's life is perfect. Nobody's life is without challenges. Nobody's business is without challenges, right? And so we need to have the tools to give ourselves the opportunity to bounce back and recover and create a better life from where we've been. So part of that is really focusing when something goes badly, really focusing on, okay, what's the lesson here? And it's not always obvious. And so for me, when I'm in a frustrated place or there's a challenge or I'm dealing with something and I think to myself, kind of in a sarcastic way, because I know people do this and I do it too. Okay, so what's the lesson of this, right? You're like, I don't want to think about that right now. I'm really upset. But but think about that, and if you're not able to come up with something that will put you in a better place, allow yourself to say, I will continue to look. It will show itself soon when I'm ready, and I want to be ready. So a lot of this is just self-talk. It's talking ourselves off the ledge, right? Because sometimes we do want to be upset, and we do want to be angry, and we do want to be in that place of, I deserve to be upset because this is a horrible thing. And the reality is that is true. Our emotions are there for a reason. They provide a function in our lives, or we would not have them. God has given us resources that provide for our lives, and emotions are one of them. So it's really important for us to honor the emotion, to give it some space and time, but not to let it run our lives. I was speaking to Hal Elrod on one of my shows, and he said that he has the 5-minute rule, which is you can be whatever emotion you want, but give yourself a 5-minute deadline. And then after 5 minutes, like a lot of people are like, what? I want to be upset about this for 2 years, right? No, don't do that, right? Give yourself 5 minutes, and at the very end of it, he has a really concise thing that he says. He says, I can't change it. I can't change it. So if you can't change it, what can you do? How can you empower yourself to move forward and create bliss anyways? Right? Beautiful. And I used to have my own saying that I used to say, but his is so sweet and short. I've upgraded mine. So try that, right? Give yourself 5 minutes to be whatever emotion you want to be about it, and then try saying that. And you know what? If it doesn't work, that's okay. Try it again. Try it again. Don't give up on yourself. Resilience really happens when you don't give up on yourself.
That is awesome. Very well said. And what a great technique, that 5-minute technique, as opposed to some people I know that do long-standing 2-year pity parties. That's
right.
Counterproductive.
Or grudges.
In this team call, so we talked a little bit about resiliency, similar to what you and I talked about, although you're much more eloquent than I probably was on the call. But we also talked about resiliency in terms of the business. Elliott Wealth Management Services, we're helping clients increase their financial IQ, win with money. We want to help people. And talked about the resilience of the practice, that what has been built here at Elliott Wealth is a resilient business, that if the markets had a downturn, or if tax law changes, or if the regulatory environment should shift, the competition is fierce out there, that we have a resilient business. And for the people that work for the business and are come to work every day to work hard on behalf of the business and for our clients, to know that they're part of a resilient organization, that the people in leadership are resilient, and the people that are on the team in and of themselves are resilient, but the business plan, the business model, the culture of the business is resilient. How does that sound?
It sounds amazing. Could you define a little bit more clearly by what you mean by resilient in this? I have my idea, right? But what do you mean in this context?
Well, you'll use the classic example of, say, a business that, and this is